brought to you almost live from the Dude in the Basement studios. Why? Because that's where the good stuff is. It's Sips, Suds, and Smokes with your smoking hosts, the good old boys. Suds. It's time for more Suds.
It is definitely time for more Suds here on Sip, Suds, and Smokes. Our Suds episodes are about everything good in life that is worth discussing. I am one of your hosts here at the table, good old boy Mike. Joining me are Reverend Mark.
Good morning.
And good old gal Julieanna.
Hey, everybody.
And good old boy Dave.
Hey, kids.
And joining us also is Reverend Mark's phone, which we're glad he's found.
Turn the ringer off. Well, if I do that, I can't find it again.
We are the best thing on at 2 a.m., and we thank you for choosing us over ornithology with night vision goggles, the untold story of the northern Weeder sighting. Our Sud segments are all about beer, and more beer. Good morning, Denver. We are at GABF 2014. Thank you for joining us. For those of you that are listening to us while you're standing in that huge line to get into the hall, it is another great day here in Denver. This is our second session that we're recording while we're here in Denver, and we're really glad to be able to talk about beer, and more beer, because that's all we talk about here on our Suds segments. Julieanna gets the honors of going over our Suds ratings for today.
Okay, guys, we'll be tasting and discussing these beers and rating them with these Suds ratings, plus our signature belching sounds.
She sounds way too good in the morning.
Here are those ratings now. All right, number 1, that sucks. Give me anything but a Bud. Number 2, was that a belch? Number 3, what a relief. Number 4, a body should really not make that sound.
You know, I think if we made Reverend Mark's phone make that sound, he would find it.
Yes.
We need to work on that. Tech support?
It'd be like a tuning fork.
I think people would stop calling him if that was his ringtone.
I think my belching sound is going off. One moment, please, while I get that.
Okay, and last but not least, number 5, listen to that hang time. Give me another.
I heard a lot of that yesterday.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Julieanna, for going over our Sip, Suds, and Smokes ratings for Suds. Hey, it is another day of 1,000 beers that has come and gone here at GABF. We've had a great time in and out of the festival. Frankly, I have lost count of the number of beers that I had yesterday. So I guess the question I wanted to start with is, how many beers do you think you guys drank yesterday?
407.
Did he count? He ran out of fingers and toes, didn't he?
I made little marks.
Thank God you have an iPhone app, so you can keep track of those things. God, so much beer. Oh, yeah. Unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
How many beers, Reverend Mark, you think?
I'd say as many days as there are in a leap year, plus about 100.
It's a little too early, to actually calculate. How many is it a leap year? Was that like 108? I don't
366.
Know. There you go. Thank you. I appreciate it.
And a quarter.
I think you and Dave shared the same app. Juliana, how many did you think you had?
Oh, my gosh. I think it had to be well over 400, too. I mean, yes, because it was a long day.
It was. And we actually started the day off drinking at breakfast.
Yeah.
That's
a good day.
It did not stop.
That is a good day.
Just so crazy.
With Sam Adams, and, that's explains why the American Revolution kind of got off to a slow start.
Right. But once you get rolling,
hang on a second, fellas. I got to go out back, have a beer. We'll get to that whole war thing in a moment.
Exactly.
Tankard in one hand and rifle in another.
It was a good day. We got around to several events in and out of the GABF festival. We actually got to go to one of our favorite events, the Rare Beer Festival for Pints for Prostrate. And it was really great to be a part of that event once again and be there. And the venue had expanded, which is really great because last year it was super crowded.
Oh, yeah.
But this year you could actually get, to a lot of the places to actually get to the beer. So it was more spread out this year. It was a little easier to navigate. I think one of my favorite questions, though, was Dave walked up and he said, how many barrel-aged beers do you think are in this room? And what percentage? And I said, probably about 70%. And you said...
I don't know. What did I say?
There you have it, folks. How many beers? 486.
Exactly.
Yes, he's killed so many brain cells he can't even remember the conversation. Yeah. He said about 80%.
Yeah.
And I think if that would be the word I would have to pick, both for in the GABF beer hall as well as outside, is it's barrel aging time. That is like the it thing right now. And just when I thought that I thought I'd clear my throat. That I really thought that sour beers were going to be kind of the breakout style that was really going to be quite pervasive. But yet we have seen more barrel-aged beer here at the show than I ever thought I'd see, both on and off the floor, all over the place. Pretty crazy. I mean, do you guys think that is a sustainable trend?
I think so. I mean, I hear now that like small children, the beer geeks, when they go on cross country trips, they're now singing 99 barrels of beer on the wall. Wow. So that's like the new norm.
Well, I think the barrels give every brewery a way to do something special and extra, whereas with sours, you're having to use Brettanomyces, Lactobacillus, and if you have a small brewery and you get infected with that stuff in your regular system, that's pretty hard to clean up. So I think maybe that's prohibitive to some people for trying to do sour beers.
So you're saying the disposable aspect of the barrel, just you can almost chuck anything you're worried about infecting
stick it in there,
your mash tun or anything else.
Well, that too, or even just using a bourbon barrel is a lot easier than inoculating and keeping everything separate and having a whole separate system to handle your sours versus, barrel aging is just, stick it in a barrel and wait a few weeks. Same yeast, everything.
How about you, Julieanna? I mean, what did you think about all the barrel-aged beer that, you were seeing all over the place?
It was good. There were some breweries that were kind of thinking outside the box with different types of barrels, and not just a routine bourbon barrel, and going for those Cabernets and those Pinot Noirs and things like that. But as a smaller brewer, it's great to have this option with barrel aging something, because if you already make a good stout, then it's nice to give it that little added enhancement, for special occasions. Versus starting with sours, you're having to dedicate a lot of time, money, and effort into that, and not so much with a barrel. So for a lot of smaller breweries that are coming online, this is a great way to introduce the beer nerds, to their beer and their portfolio.
Well, I think the critic in me wants to say that. Hang on, I gotta clear my throat yet once again.
That frog's back in there.
It is wearing me out this morning. Is that it strikes me as it will mask a lot of flaws, and I think that it will bring about flavor in a way that you would not normally do through the introduction of ingredients. And so I think that is probably the one critical aspect that I would offer, is that are these great beers are these good beers that are now great beers because they've been barrel aged, or were these just bourgeois, run of the mill or less than stellar beers that actually finally taste good, because they've been barrel aged? And I think that was the one thing as we were walking around and talking about at the Rare Beer Festival, and I found myself keeping notes, was the barrel aging improving the beer, or was it masking the beer? And that was kind of a running theme that we've talked about. Is the barrel complementing the beer, or is the beer basically being completely masked, by whatever, they put it in? And I found myself, calculating that over-under, aspect as I was going around and tasting so many barrel-aged beers. But we have some really great ones to talk about. I guess the one question I wanted to visit was, so did any of you drop your glass yesterday?
No,
No.
but I did join in the every time, and there were a lot of those last night.
Well, most definitely. And so we actually shifted glass tasting cups at this next session we're going to go to. So you'll actually get to hear it in real time like that. So as opposed to the plastic cups that,
So this time it's for real.
well,
it's for keeps.
I guess the one thing I noticed, one ritual last night as I was leaving the hall, is that there were a bunch of people that were actually crushing their tasting cups, the plastic ones, and actually stomping on them. I'm like, well, first off, could you please call the safety people over so that as you shove the piece of plastic through your crappy shoe, that they can take you away in a timely manner, then hop on, the tasting. I thought it was a stupid idea, but anyway.
I noticed they were recycling too. Everybody was.
That's
dumping
true.
them.
That was a new move. Yeah, I thought that was kind of nice as well. All right, well, let's get to talking about some beer. What we were want to do today is talk about our top 2 beers that we've had so far as we've been here in Denver. And we will go through, talk about our tasting notes for each of these, and rate them with our Suds ratings. Up first is going to be Reverend Mark.
Well, we got to narrow it down to 2.
Yep, that's right. After we just fessed up that we had, 500 plus beers each of us yesterday. That's right. I thought we'd start with 2. We may have some more time to talk about a few honorable mentions, I'm sure.
Okay.
So what's up first?
Yeah. Well, I'll mention one that
have you actually found your list?
Yeah.
Or is it on your phone that he couldn't find? It's next to his iPod that he couldn't find.
It's tattooed to the back of my hand.
Wow.
So one that I think many GABF aficionados for this year, cruising the aisles, when you look at where the lines were standing, I'd have to say New Glarus. And my favorite beer would be the brown peach.
Oh yeah, and I got to have this as well. So I'd love to hear what you thought about it.
Well, I mean, we've talked about some other kind of peach beers, and some don't work so well. I just myself worked on a peach lambic that I think did okay, but I think this one actually.
He's being humble, everybody. It was really, really good.
Better than okay.
Yeah.
Well, this one though had and I like the fact it's brown peach. It's like it's just a little overripe, and you get that extra sweetness. Kind of like as a peach overripens or a banana overripens. Mm-hmm. They're not really pretty to look at. The mouthfeel's not always so great when you swirl it into a beer, though. Who knows? But it's just it has that added sweetness and depth, kind of almost like it goes from sugar to brown sugar. And so I got that out of the peach, and it also had kind of that if you get a really nice fresh peach and you don't take the skin off and you kind of snap the skin as you bite into it, it's kind of like that extra layer of sweetness that's right there at the skin. And it has a little tannin to it, but it's not too bitter. It's just maybe a little bit tannic, but not so much. I found all that going on in there. So I was really impressed. I'm impressed with pretty much everything they do in the fruit beer area. Mm-hmm. And
so, what's your Suds rating on this going to be?
I'm giving that one a 5.
How about that? So this actually happened to be a beer that I got to try as well. I love your description, and I don't want to steal any thunder from that at all. I think a couple of things I would add is, when I stepped up, almost all the beers that they were pouring I'd had before, except for the brown peach. And you're right, it was the same kind of thought process I go through when fruit is added into a beer. Is the fruit making the beer, or is the beer making the fruit? And I know it's early, Dave, for us to figure that out.
It's very philosophical.
I'll say it slower next time.
Philosophical.
I'll probably screw it up as well. What do the birds sound like again? Thank you. I appreciate that. And we're looking for the Northern Wheater this morning behind the brown peach beer. I just really thought it was a wonderful rendition of the quality of the beer that they make at New Glarus. And for as many other sours I've had there, just when I didn't think that they could top themselves, this really moved easily in the top 3 from New Glarus that I've had. My Suds rating for the brown peach was also a 5. It was a great beer.
Nice.
I hope it is becomes widely available because this is the first time I've seen it, and I really hope it hits the market.
Yeah, I instantly texted a friend who lives in Madison, Wisconsin. I said, I know you're coming to Nashville for the holidays.
Yeah.
I want you to pick this up for me. And then he texted back,
And-
okay, I'll get...
And good old boy Mike.
And good old,
And
yeah.
good old boy
yeah.
Dave.
And he said, okay, I'll pick some up in December. And I said, no, I mean, like, go out right now and get them.
Well, maybe New Glarus will hear this glowing review and send us a Christmas gift, because we have a lot of great beer to talk about from New Glarus coming up on some future shows. So what else is on your short list there, Reverend Mark?
Gosh, I'm going to give one to what might be relatively unknown, probably not in their own immediate area. And I would say it's the Joseph James 6th Anniversary Rye Wine. And it's a brewery out of Henderson, Nevada. And we were talking about the barrel thing. And I'm thinking, do I want to try one more barrel-aged beer? And I'll have to tell you, when they poured it, it had this beautiful, red hue that wasn't just a caramel red. You could tell it had been the barrel had kind of altered the color a little bit, and it was sweet but spicy, not biting like sometimes rye can be. I don't know, it just had the perfect balance, and I was a little bit my palate was wrecked from a lot of the barrel stuff, and this just sort of rejuvenated me. And it was toward the end of the night, so to say that this beer really stood out after I was pretty much packing it in, I have to move this up to the top.
So what's your Suds rating for that beer?
Well, I'll give this one a 4.
All right. How about that? Both really great beers and Bleers. How's that bird go
Another
again?
juggling.
Yep. Bleers.
Farmhouse.
Thank you. We'll
Good
keep it
job,
running
buddy.
total. Thank you for made up beers. Made up beers. Made up words with Mike. It's 3:15. Thank you for joining us. Really, the fact that you could even narrow it down to 2. That's amazing. So
No, I'm looking at a list here of about 16 of the most outstanding beers
I figured.
out of 366.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we'll get to come back around and have a little bit of time to talk about some more, even today, although I'm sure we'll be talking about a lot of these beers for a while. Up next is going to be Julieanna to talk about her top 2, and then Dave's just going to say, I'm good with those.
Yes, dear.
It was a plan, Dave.
Whatever. God, it's so hard because I keep going through these thinking, is this one a little bit better? Anyways, one that I really enjoyed.
I know. Asking Julieanna to pick her favorite beerist is
it's tough.
It's like making her pick her favorite
honorable
thing about
mention
me.
number 62. No,
Yeah,
folks, we can't make
okay.
this stuff up.
Yeah.
No, we can't. Okay, one that I kept going back to a lot was Funky Buddha's Raspberry Berliner Weiss.
Wait, what did you say?
We'll try that.
Funky
We'll try that a
Buddha.
little slower to
Yeah.
make sure we get that
Let's
on the
emphasize
radio.
the N in funky Buddha.
Funky Buddha.
Yes, they're a nice brewery in Florida, and their Raspberry Berliner Weiss was just spot on delicious. Gorgeous. It was just tart enough, and the raspberry flavor was just so clean. A very crisp beer and just really delightful.
Pretty color too.
Yeah, pretty color. It was that great pinky yellow something.
Huh. Pinky yellow. Yeah, those are 2 different colors, not on the same spectrum.
It's kind
at
of yellow, and then you look, and it's kind of pink, and then
That's funny.
You know what she means.
Yeah, not really, but anyway.
Anyways, I gave that a 4.
A 4, how about that? So what else did you have on your list there?
The other one that I was really impressed with was the Magnolia Brewing Company from San Francisco, their Pride of Branthill, which is an imperial bitter. What I loved about the brewery in general was that they really liked English ales. But this imperial bitter, I just thought was the best bitter I've ever had in my life. Just so smooth, so flavorful, and very complex. I mean, there's a lot of toffee and caramel flavors and just so smooth. And this was not on cask. This was carbonated. And I kept thinking, wow, I need to go there. This one I gave a 5.
Wow, how about that? Yeah, great beer. I actually got to have that as well, and I thought it was that was a really, really good beer. So I'm not going to rate it because I forgot what my rating was, but it was definitely a 4 or 5 easily for me.
Just tell her you agree.
I agree. That's my plan. Whatever you said, Julieanna. Hey, I tell you what, we're going to take a quick break here. Let our stations chime in with some really great information. We'll be right back with Dave's ratings and Mike's for a couple more beers. Stand by. Hey, thanks for coming back to our episode here on Sip, Suds, and Smokes. Our Suds episode today is about a session here at GABF for 2014. Today we're talking about a couple of beers that we enjoyed from yesterday in our top 2 choices. Reverend Mark and Julieanna have gone through a couple that they've enjoyed. Up next is good old boy Dave.
Hey, hey.
Hey, hey.
So.
Ho, ho.
Hey.
Hey. I knew we were going to get to that.
Whatever, dude. All right, I'm trying to be serious here. Spread some knowledge.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, because that happens all the time.
People can't stop getting into that, Dave. All right, let's hear it, man.
I think Juliana's favorite beer was that Haterade.
Yeah.
Is that one?
That would be correct.
Yep. Okay, so, one of the things that Julianna and I wanted to do was to really not focus so much on breweries that we had heard of. We wanted to find some new things, and that worked out okay. But I have to say there's a good reason that certain breweries have very, very long lines that you have to stand in. The first one, Lost Abbey.
Oh, my goodness.
Out of California.
That line was so long yesterday. Yeah. That was crazy. I was like, are there bricks of gold behind there?
Exactly.
There were, though. There were.
Yeah, there were. She had the Framboise, which was really good. The one I had, though, was the Track 8, which was their bourbon barrel-aged quad. So here we are back to barrel-aged stuff.
Absolutely.
But this time, man, I think it made a great beer greater. It actually brought out, like, hints of vanilla, which you would expect from that kind of barrel. But there was also a coconut flavor that I don't know where it came from. But this beer was just smooth. It had great body, very drinkable, very generous ABV. I think it's somewhere in the 7 to 8%. But it was just so outstanding, especially for being barrel aged, which I'm getting kind of burned out on. But that really stepped up for me. I would have given that beer a 4.
Oh wow, not that. Yeah, lots of great stuff from Black Abbey, and again, a lot more things. We'll actually have a brewery takeover edition on Black Abbey beers.
Lost Abbey.
Lost Abbey.
That's why I said Lost Abbey, right?
Yeah, you totally said that.
Don't get those confused. I love both.
Well,
so,
Black Abbey has great beer too.
But yeah, Lost Abbey. We're actually going to have a brewery takeover edition on a lot of stuff. I'll get Agave Maria, really great beer from them.
That was a good one too.
Yeah.
But I had not had Track 8, and I knew that's. I tried to figure out what everybody was standing in that long line. I'm serious. It was like 150 people standing in that line.
Yep.
So I was like, whatever it is, I'm not standing in the line for that. So
we started actually trading off, like, since we don't mind drinking out of each other's cup. I don't know that you and Mark could really do that, but so like she would go somewhere like Lost Abbey and stand in line, and then I would go either stand in another long line and we'd sip out of each other's cups, or she'd stand in line. I would run to about 2 or 3 other breweries that had short lines and bring her back sips, and we go back and forth.
I'd say the ritual that Reverend Mark and I have is he walks up and he gets a sample in his cup, and he's there blessing it, and making sure that it's now holy water. I get a sample in my cup, and I'm praying that it doesn't suck. Yeah. That's the difference.
Exactly.
So, what else did you get to have yesterday,
So,
Dave?
Probably my favorite beer that I had yesterday was from a brewery that we've actually visited recently in Colorado Springs, Trinity.
Oh, yeah. Great brewery.
And this was the Electric Cucumber. It was a cucumber saison or something French. I don't know. It's a cucumber saison. All right, a day. It's got it's just basically a nice drinkable saison, but they put 5 pounds of English cucumbers and a generous amount of lemon zest into each barrel.
That sounds tasty.
And man, it. I've used cucumber to make wine with and try to brew with it a little bit, and it can go sideways on you very quickly. They somehow mastered it, and it was spot on. It was awesome.
Huh. Cool. That sounds good. I'm going to give it a 5 just because I love the sound of it.
Yeah.
But what's your Suds rating for it, though?
Hit that 5, man.
Oh, man. How about that? Listen to Hang Time. Give me another. That really sounds good.
Yeah. It was great.
Well, I hope Trinity definitely catches the review of this because I would really love to talk about them a lot more here on the radio.
Yeah.
It's a really small brewery, and they have right now they're just kind of starting to have a little bit of a capacity issue from what I understood. So a little difficult to kind of find some of their beers, really outside, the Denver area itself. They have a very regional kind of distribution going on. All right. So we're swinging around to good old boy Mike's thoughts from yesterday and a couple of beers that I got to run into. So up first is going to be a brewery that I ran into called Androit. They are out of the Puncyville, Virginia area is where they are located. So I have to say that they have kind of I don't know how I could describe their marketing look and feel looks like something that is spit out of a biker bar and a goth reunion.
Nice.
So they have the kind of this, thing where they're like artisans, but they're artisans that they like to really work hard on a lot of their label art, but the artistry actually crosses over into their beer quite well. And I had a chance to actually try a couple of beers at the booth. I'm going to talk about one that really was at the top of my list. Might hit my short list for the best thing in the hall, which will be one of the other shows we'll catch next week. But this beer from Androit Theory is called Legion. It is an imperial stout that has been aged in Pinot barrels, and it just really is quite unique. The hop profile, I think, is the thing that really kind of sets it apart. It has green bullet hops and Horapido leaves in it. So it really is something quite extraordinary. It is very dense. I would consider it a very dense beer, as you would expect with an imperial stout. Mm-hmm. Kind of a cocoa thing going on. Then you get kind of these spicy, pepper notes, and I don't know, there's this hint of espresso that kind of comes in. So there's all these really complex, flavors that are really built around this beer. And, to say that it wouldn't even be close to describe it as one-dimensional. It's like 10 dimensions, of flavor. So my Suds rating for Android Theory Legion is going to be a 5.
Nice.
And really great beer. And I'm so glad that I actually took the time to stop by that booth, because I'm not much of a goth person, but
really? Still. It's not what I heard.
We've seen pictures.
Yeah. So I have to mention a little bit about, so there was a beer that was right next to this that was actually a similar beer, not quite the same hop profile, that had been aged in a tequila barrel. And actually, that was the one that I had first. It was BAYS, and I was like, bring your own self or sal. I forgot what BAYS stands for. I'm sorry, guys. I can't remember that. But also a very good beer, very different. Things in tequila barrels either work well or they're just absolutely horrible. And this one was working. It was actually working pretty well with the beer. But it was right alongside this thing called Legion, and probably if they had been on opposite sides of the hall, I'm not so sure that I wouldn't have just put 1 and 2 right there together. They were both that good. Plus, I really dig that biker look. So,
Mike likes the chaps.
That's right. Definitely like those buttless leather chaps. That's what really works well for me.
That's why we're on the radio, folks.
That's correct.
Not TV.
For sure. So up next, the beer that I wanted to talk about was from Almanac in San Francisco, California. I'm going to probably mispronounce the name of this beer, but it's Cerise Sour Blonde. That's Cerise. So if I mispronounced it, or there is a French impersonation that I need to do, oui, monsieur, c'est you, c'est blond, then I'm sorry about that. But listen, this is a great sour that they produce. Almanac is really producing some really great beers. So I know a beer that I'm not going to get to rate from them is that I had while I was in San Francisco at the City Beer Store. I actually had my allotment of one of my 2 fall beers, which was the Dark Sour Pumpkin from Almanac as well. And so that was a really, really good beer. I did rate it, so you can definitely catch it on our Twitter feed, and the tasting notes around that. Swinging back here to this Cerise Sour Blonde, it is a sour wild ale. This is something that when I kind of looked at it, I thought, well, this is just, a summertime blonde, and I'm going to end up tasting this a bit maybe out of season, and I don't know if, my palate's not going to let me enjoy this. And so this is a tart blonde. It was actually brewed with Rainier and Bing cherries from the Bella Viva orchard, and then everything was fermented up from there. I actually like to describe this as lightly kissed by a cherry. And I am not a huge fan of cherry ales at all. And this had just what I call a grand moment of retarding the tasting profiles. The beer was there, and all this other stuff that was really coming into play was not overwhelming the beer, which was really good. So there was a little bit of straw, a little bit of cherry that was kind of coming into it. It had a nice balance between tart and sour. It was just a really great balance between everything that was going on. My Suds rating for the Almanac Cerise Sour Blonde is also going to be a 5. And to really stand out, seriously, for 500 plus beers, and even to run across, some really great stuff that's there in the GABF hall, it's really great because it's very tough. To just palate management kind of as you're going along, as well as just trying to find some exceptional gems like we've been able to find along the way. So I'm really glad that we've been able to taste several things. So I guess the one thing I'm shocked is that you did not mention that beer from Weyerbacher.
Well, and I wanted to, because I had a question for you guys. With all the sections at GABF, was there one section that you were impressed with, like what, one part of the U.S. or, thank you, region? Was there a region that, excited you? Was there a region that you were over? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think the one thing that I talked a little bit about palate management, and I think it's just a long time of going to a lot of wine tastings for 10 plus years and grand tastings with 4,000 plus wines. or even doing that for coffee that I do quite a bit. You went with me to the whiskey festival, and you kind of got to see some of that in action, firsthand. That when I really come into something, like the GABF Beer Hall, for me, it's game on for palate management. Is almost that's like at the top of my list, for the day. And we've all judged, beer contests where we're ripping through, 600 beers, in a day. So I think, at least, I think we're well trained to do that. But then again, I think the one thing that wears me out is when I step through a lot of the West Coast breweries, and after about that 10th West Coast IPA, I'm like, oof, I've screwed this up. I have to reset my palate, and I got to take 15 minutes to do that, and it's just going to suck. And, that's probably the one thing that kind of catches up to me is just that overwhelming category of IPA is still incredibly prevalent. As much barrel-aged as we saw, and we've talked about today, that's still the one thing that catches me.
Yeah, but I think also that region of the West Coast has interpenetrated all the regions. And so no matter where you are, every table is going to have an IPA, a double IPA.
It's almost a requirement.
Yeah.
Can't be a brewer without producing an IPA. What are you thinking?
Just a hopped beyond belief amber ale or red ale. So I think just the influence of that style in general is to be found in every region. So for the palate management, sort of the side of the strategy, I really like to just start looking for, this is October, even, maybe an Oktoberfest, something that is a little light, little malty. Mm-hmm. I'm a big Belgian fan. I like to just go for the Belgians, not necessarily even the barrel-aged Belgians, and then work my palate up to more complicated kinds of things. Mm-hmm. Well, it's not that the Belgians aren't complicated in other ways. So I don't know. I think that I don't know that there's a really a regional distinctiveness anywhere that has not been in some ways impacted by the larger market in the desire for hoppy, floral, big beers. Mm-hmm. But I'm always on the lookout.
Well, and one thing that I noticed, we haven't had a lot of beers from Florida before. Mm-hmm. Now everybody's had Cigar City, and they're very good. And Mark, you had actually talked about this one before, Swamphead.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. Down in Gainesville.
Yeah, 10-10-10. Mm-hmm. Their big IPA.
Yeah,
that's the best IPA I had yesterday.
I had that, and that was on my short list here.
Yeah,
that was one of them. Yeah.
Well, I think spending part of my time actually residing in Florida, I have a lot of beer from the area, and I think one of the things that I've really struggled with most brewers in Florida is water quality. It's just very difficult to really get the water profile that you're really looking for. I think the reason why things work up in Jacksonville is because you have access to so much good fresh water from the St. Johns River itself. And I would certainly say as you tend to go, down, south in Florida, your ability of really getting water that's not been heavily tainted by something becomes very, very difficult. Mm-hmm. And, we were listening to, some brewers yesterday talk about water quality issues, and it's one of the things that you guys don't have to think about when you brew in Tennessee. We have access to just killer limestone filtered water all day long.
It's actually pretty perfect for brewing.
Yeah, and so I think that's what's made for some challenges for brewers, especially in Florida. But I think that I've seen a lot of brewers that have come around. Cigar City is definitely one of the better brewers across the country, not just in Florida itself. Yeah. So,
did you guys try the Smoke Signal? Their smoke porter, Swamphead's smoke porter.
No, I didn't get that.
Not yet, dude. I guess it's on my short list.
I'm not a big smoke beer fan. Mm-hmm. It was the perfect amount of smoke.
Yeah. I'd say another thing about the water quality, though, if you look at Epic, when I toured their original brewery in Mormonville.
In Utah?
Yeah.
It's a big state, River Park.
Yeah.
Mormonville, Utah. It's a city, folks.
I can't find my state.
It's right next to your phone, wherever that was.
So they engineer all their water. They build their water. They do
Reverse osmosis.
Reverse osmosis, and so that's really the answer.
Which I think
down in
actually
Florida.
strips away all the essential minerals that you're really
Right.
looking for.
But then you have to
in
build.
water
You can
quality.
build your water. You can add those back. So
Yeah, I don't think people build water that well, but so we had Reverend Mark and I had this a couple of interesting encounters I thought worthy of talking a little bit about. So we actually, I want to say it was pretty close to the Cigar City booth. We actually turned around and went to the White Coop booth, and we walked up and. I guess the one thing that really kind of captured my attention is that they had this picture there, and it was this bright Barbie pink beer that was sitting there, and I was like, "Oh man, what is that?" And I saw the sign, and it said "Pickled Pear Berliner Weiss," and
prickly pear.
Prickly pear. Pickled. Was
Prickly.
it prickly pear or pickled pear?
No, prickly.
pear.
It's the
All
prickly
right.
pear.
Thank you.
Pickle
I'm
pear
glad.
would probably taste a lot different.
Anyway, it was pink cactus water. I don't know. So the one thing that he held out the pitcher and he started to fill my glass, and I was saying no, not quite right now. And I actually put my hand on the pitcher. I really didn't know what it was, to be honest with you. So finally, I was talking to him about what was in the pitcher itself and. Reading the description, and I was like, man, I am, Berliner Weiss to me is people put stuff in Berliner Weiss that just shouldn't be there. And, I think the sin of sins are when people drop in cherry syrup or, some other fruited syrup that just combines a tons of sugar or something in it, and not just staying really, what I consider pure Berliner Weiss is actually adding a fruit compote in it, is the traditional way of enjoying Berliner Weiss. So I was looking at this pink goo in this glass going, no Kool-Aid for me. Then he poured it in, and I actually tasted it. It was actually pretty awesome.
Yeah,
I have to
and
say,
I love
it was not too sweet.
I was able to acquire some prickly pear puree out of Texas a few years ago and made a mead out of it, and it was just has the right kind of just wild edginess to the taste. It's sweet, but has a it's a cactus. So it's a little bit like that tequila, a sort of aspect as well.
The bitterness, there was just a hint of bitterness, it's kind of sneaking in on it too. Yeah.
Did you, when you guys were tasting it, did you lift your pinky?
I knew you were going to get to that. Yes, I lifted my pinky and enjoyed it. Actually, I don't mind going so far to rate the prickly pear. Prickly pear. Berliner Weiss from one coop is actually going to be a 3 for me. So it was pretty good.
It was good.
So I'm glad we got to mention that one as well. Any other beers on your short list that we haven't talked about or fun and interesting moments?
May I say, okay, so talking about regions, yes, the Midwest always has good stuff. The West Coast always has good things. Florida now is, getting big with their beers. But being from Pennsylvania, I have to say this. I am damn proud of my state. We had some really good showings.
And welcome to the Philadelphia Beer Authority once again. Yo, Jed, is that cooler full back there? Give me another one. I got somebody else here on the phone wants to know what you think about that. Yeah, that's what I think about every time with the Philadelphia Beer Authority.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, sorry.
No, but on a serious note, a Weyerbacher is still, they are small, but they are competing with the big boys, and I'm so proud of them. We had the opportunity of trying a really wonderful beer at Pints for Prostates, and I'm telling you, that was like the best one
Pariah.
At that event.
Yeah. Oh, you remember the name. Way to go, Dave.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yummy,
cool.
yummy. But also, I was very proud of Iron Hill Brewery bringing a great variety of beers there.
Rye of the Tiger?
Yeah, the Rye of the Tiger was my, and Fred. Those two were my favorites. Fred. Yeah, Fred's really good.
Listen, before you move away from that Weyerbacher, so The thing that was interesting about that beer was that it was actually in a white wine barrel.
Yep.
And, I think one of the things I always get a little bit afraid is that it's going to dry things out or sweeten things up in a way that normal yeast, beer yeast, would not do. And, man, that was really working. In fact, that was like the third beer I had in that room. And immediately caught my attention. So what was your Suds rating on the Weyerbacher Pariah?
God, that was a 5.
I mean, and, I walked away from the table with the same thing. I mean, I was just like, this beer rocks the room. It really did.
I think we all were kind of saying that might have been the best beer we had that day.
Yeah, absolutely. It's easier to dish up a 5 to Pariah from Weyerbacher. Really great beer.
Yeah. But, not only that, the area of Pennsylvania that I am from is the Northeast. And, I mean, we're coal miners. We're very, I hate to say it, but it's a very basic area. But...
Jen, take off your overalls. Come up here and taste this beer. People on the phone know what's going on.
She was proud to be a coal miner's daughter.
Yep.
Yeah. But
can't get this can open, man.
But Kutztown now has a new brewery.
A third tooth didn't pop out.
Okay, seriously. Saucony Creek.
One more state Mike can't enter ever again.
There you go. You heard it first. I've been banned from Pennsylvania now.
And I think I'm going to help them.
Dave, we'll stand right there in
I'm
Kentucky,
out of the way,
just
dude.
wait.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, Saucony Creek from Kutztown. I was impressed with their Maple Mistress, which it was a good solid beer. I'm like, wow. And then Shawnee Craft Brewing from the Delaware Water Gap. They made this raspberry blanche, which was just completely unexpected.
Yeah.
Completely unexpected. So, it's nice to know that the Northeast is doing some good things besides the traditional big brewers. So, yay, go PA.
Well, I know there was one more beer that Reverend Mark and I had yesterday that definitely caught our attention. But I think the one reason I'm a little hesitant to talk about this is I don't know if they'll ever be able to recreate this beer. It was so good. And when we heard how they actually made it by accident, I was like, are you really going to put that in a bottle? Because after that, experimentation moment. The beer from, was it Joseph Jones? Is that right? The 6th anniversary?
Yeah, I just mentioned that.
Yeah.
And with the rye wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll be able to make that beer again, but it was so good. And there were so many things going on with it. The other thing that I definitely took the time to enjoy was taking in the audience last night on Friday.
Wow.
The costumes were out, man. Yeah. And so I can't wait to post some of the pictures that I took of some of the folks that I got to meet and greet on the floor. And I know who's going to be our cover art for this episode is actually going to be a very nice elderly couple that I ran into. Actually, it was right next to the Joseph Jones Brewing Company as we were enjoying that. I don't know. There was some moment of affinity just watching this senior couple at the beer fest, walking around, enjoying themselves, and having such a good time, and getting dressed up in costume. To actually come to the beer fest, it was quite endearing. And I would say for those of you that are in love or about to be in love or still searching for love, I think that maybe that would be an aspirational goal, is to be holding each other's hands at GBF in our senior years going, that beer sucks.
I have to say, though, it gets so loud in there that I almost got ran over by a bagpipe band because I didn't hear them coming. They were just like right up on me. And
yeah. And that is another thing that, they actually open up each session with a set of bagpipes. And so I think the next GABF talk, I'll load up the bagpipe sound pack, and we'll actually recreate as much of the ambiance of the GABF floor as we can. Because while the glass breaking is definitely something you hear quite a bit of, the bagpipes is definitely the other sound that you hear quite a bit of. Well, there you have it. We have wrapped up another day here at GABF and had a great chance to talk about several things that we got to see for this day. I'm looking forward to our event this afternoon at the Cheeky Monk. Thank you, Dave. And I'm so excited about our audience participation show. I've been floating our non-beer question around. I'm not going to give it away on this episode. All I have to say is you're going to have to channel your favorite 80s pop star, 90s, and 2000. He was that good. So you're going to have to definitely get it on to think about that. I'm looking forward to a really great audience. Fabulous beer we're going to have at Cheeky Monk. I mean, just really. I saw the tap list is going to be on this afternoon, and it's just to die for. Well, great stuff, and let's wrap up our Suds episode for today. Thanks to all of our listeners here at Sips, Suds, and Smokes. You can catch all of our episodes online on iTunes, SoundCloud, PRX, TuneIn, Stitcher, YouTube, on the backside of Dave, and Spreaker, our native media host. With the cork in.
I don't want to talk about my backside.
It's your new catchphrase. Our terrestrial radio stations are questioning every single day, why don't we shut these people off? And if you would like to hear this show on your favorite radio station, send them a note and copy us as well. You can reach us online anytime at info@sipsudsandsmokes.com. Our daily tasting notes flow out on Twitter at SipSudsSmoke is our handle, and our Facebook page is always buzzing with lots of great news. Listen, do us a favor and actually take the time to rate this episode if you're... I think I said the wrong thing there. Do us a favor and take the time to rate this episode.
We
if
have
you're
to work on pronunciations.
And just really give me a beer. I don't know if I can get through this. Definitely rate our episode if you're listening to us online. It's a big help to us, and we get to see your feedback as well. I definitely want to thank my co-host for joining me here at the table once again. Reverend Mark, thanks.
Can't find my beer.
Or his phone, or his iPod.
He can find Mormonville.
Yeah, Utah. It's that big state. If you put your phone in Utah and I call it, will you be able to find it there? Because it'll be in a state you can't find, or your phone that way. Good old gal Julieanna, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Still waiting for more beer.
Yeah, we're about to get to it. Good old boy Dave, thanks for being here.
Hey, this is Cinnamon. Leave the cork in.
I think that should be perpetual. Well, it's good old boy Mike. Thank you for joining us once again. I'm going to ask you to keep on sipping.
This has been a one-tan hand production of Sips, Suds, and Smokes, a program devoted to the appreciation of some of the finer slices of life. From the Dude in the Basement Studios, your hosts, the Good Old Boys, will see you all next time.